Hello, welcome to the Weekend Investing Daily Bites. Today is June 23rd. This is episode 37. We do this every day, every working day, and try to cover what the market has done, what sectors are moving, what our products are doing, and we try to take one interesting subject to discuss with our users. So broadly, the markets opened again with a gap up, but the entire day was spent in a gradual, step down, and towards the end of it kind of capitulated and gave up all the gains and went deeper into the negative territory. So Nifty closed down about 0.5%, along with all the broader indices which were also down about 0.5%. Nifty Next 50 was particularly hit because of its exposure to Adani stocks, and there were hardly any gainers. In terms of the sectors, metals and IT took a good beating. So the large caps were selling off pretty sharply. So by the evening, we'll come to know what the FII sellers have been doing. But my guess is that we'll get a nice handsome sell figure today. Only the autos were rallying on back of the news of increase of prices in Maruti, etc. But more or less the entire market was on a profit booking mode all through the day. In terms of the weekend investing small cases, the performance was mirrored along with the market. The MI25, which is a small cap product, got hit 1.4%. NNF10 was down 1%, others was down between 0.5% to 1%, but they were down all the way. The last 1 week has been totally a washout. There has been no gains or losses virtually. And the financial year performance still stands pretty robust, with 35% on ATH, 38% on MI25, and 27% on all cap. These are the major products and their performances. In terms of the topic today, so today is a very unusual daily bite. We are not talking about the conventional, the usual financial topic discussion. So this is a very unusual topic, Rajdhani Express and stock market. So you must be wondering what kind of a correlation there is between Rajdhani Express and stock markets. So I'll take you back into time. When I started this business, I was a National Stock Exchange member and started that business in 1995. And at that point of time, the concept of settlement, what we have today, which is a bit it does not really come into our face what is happening at the back end. So if you're buying a stock and the process that happens in that delivery of the stock coming from the seller to the buyer, that remains pretty not so transparent to the user. But in those days, especially before NSE was formed, Bombay Stock Exchange used to have a 2 weekly settlement cycle. So what 2 weekly settlement cycle means, that if let's say you buy a stock on Monday, then for the next 2 weeks you could have squared it off. Remember, there were no futures and options in those days. So the broker used to give you a 2-week window so that you may close your position whenever you like, and at the end of the 2-week window you had to decide whether you wanted to take delivery or not. And if you wanted to take delivery, then it would take further 2 weeks for that process to kick in. So let's say at the end of 2 weeks you decide that you want to take delivery. So then you have to make the payment. The seller has to deliver the stock. These two have to get exchanged, and then the delivery comes to you. And something which most of the younger people in the market today have never experienced is that stocks used to be in physical format in those days. So there was no demat, and they were like physical certificates, you must have seen some physical certificates maybe in a movie or something, but it would have the original shareholder's name, it would have the number of shares, a certificate number, and the new owners will have to get it endorsed on the certificate, that these shares now belong to me. So how did that process work? Let's say I was a buyer and I bought these stocks. Now the seller is sending that physical delivery to the stock exchange, and that certificate has to be accompanied with something called a transfer deed, which the buyer will basically fill in their details and the seller would have signed it off so that you will be able to transfer it to your name. Those documents will come to the exchange from the selling broker. Then the selling broker will do a pay-in to the exchange. The buying broker will get that pay-in once he makes the payment. Then he'll come back to his office. He will fill in each and every detail on each and every transfer deed, then give it to the buyer. The buyer will then send that document along with the transfer deed, put transfer stamps on it and send it to the registrar of the company, who will then take a sweet few months to transfer it to the buyer's name. And more often than not, they would find that the signature of the original seller is not matching. Hence, they will send back those documents to you. You will send it back to the exchange. The exchange will give it back to the selling broker and ask them to rectify it. This was called a bad delivery. And then the same process would come back with a good delivery, possibly re-signed and the sign being attested by a banker or something, and then the whole process will go on. So many a times you would not be able to get the stock in your name for months or even 6 months together. So what many of the users would do, and the transfer date used to be valid for, let's say, a year. 6 months to a year was the usual validity of the transfer deed. So either you sell off the stock within that period using that same transfer deed, or you go through this entire process of getting it transferred to your name, and then at some later stage you can sell it off. And as I said in the tweets today, the entire volume of the day was 100 crores in 1990 or around about somewhere near there. The stock exchange used to open very casually near 10:30 or 11 o'clock and close by 2 o'clock, and then brokers used to go and have a nap, and then by evening they would come to know who all did what buying and selling was done, and then they will allocate that to their clients, and the settlement process was long and it'll take a winding process. Anyhow, to cut the story short, how Rajdhani Express came in the middle was that we set up an office in Delhi in 1995. National Stock Exchange was just formed. We were one of the first members of the National Stock Exchange in Delhi. There was no regional clearing at that point of time in National Stock Exchange. So only the Mumbai office was working. So any sales deliveries that were sold by our clients, we had to first get them collected from their homes in Delhi. Our collection boys would get those deliveries along with these transfer deeds. Then we would collate all of them together and put it in a huge box, and then one person from my company would catch the Rajdhani at 4 p.m. from Delhi and reach Mumbai the next day just in time for that pay-in to happen. So after these 2 weeks, there was some few days that was there for the pay-in to happen. So you would go there. There was a huge hall at NSCCL Mumbai where there will be like huge counters. It is like almost like the last day of income tax filing that you see on TV now. That there are many desks of many different regions and so on and so forth, and you have to go with your whole bundle at one desk, and they will check each and every one of them. Once they are satisfied, then they will give you a pay-in desk, or a payout desk will give you another bundle that you've bought, and that will be your payout by the evening. So a whole day used to go just in this, and then the person will catch the next Rajdhani, come back to Delhi, come to office, stamp each and every one of those transfer deeds, fill in whatever is required on that, and physically each of those deeds or with the certificates would get delivered to each of those clients who had bought them. So this was used to be the process of buying and selling of shares for investment. And now today we don't even think about what goes off in the back end. We just buy on a zero brokerage. At that point of time when NSE was starting, brokerage used to be anywhere between 1 to 2% of the transaction amount. And if it was a regional broker, like somebody, let's say in some smaller city, Jaipur is giving you an order in Mumbai, they could even charge more than that. So the kind of inefficiencies that were there in the system, both in terms of time and in terms of the price, gradually got removed as screen-based trading came when NSE started. And NSE started with a weekly settlement. So Wednesday to Tuesday was the cycle. This is very interesting if you listen to this carefully. So Wednesday to Tuesday was the cycle. So you could buy on Wednesday and you had the whole week up till the next Tuesday to decide whether you want to square off the transaction and make it into a trade, or you hold it for delivery. If you are not squaring it off on Tuesday, then you have to pay the broker and take the delivery. Bombay Stock Exchange was trading Monday to Friday by this time. So there were two settlement cycles concurrently available in the market: Monday to Friday on BSE, Wednesday to Tuesday on NSE. So there was a huge arbitrage that used to happen between the two. So what was happening? So let's say you took a position of 100,000 Reliance long on Bombay Stock Exchange on Monday, and you've given some margin to the broker. Margins used to be very nominal. The exchanges used to not bother too much about margin as long as the broker had funds with the exchange. So you took a position on Monday at BSE. By Friday, if you not closed it, either you have to take delivery or you have to close it, right? Let's say you want to carry it forward. You're not satisfied with the gains you have, or maybe you are running into losses and you want to give it more time. What you would do, you would close the position on BSE and open it simultaneously on NSE on Friday. And now you have Friday till Tuesday on NSE to hold the position, because the cycle on NSE is going on from Wednesday to Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, you close it on NSE and bring it back to BSE on Tuesday and then run it again till Friday. So basically, if you kept hopping BSE to NSE, NSE to BSE, you would avoid the delivery and you would keep having your speculative position open with very small margin. So this was the way in which FNO trade was getting done. So FNO was not available. So this was how the trade used to get done. There are earlier versions of Badla, etc., which used to happen within that one exchange of Bombay Stock Exchange also, but I am not getting into that right now. But this is how the trade hops used to happen. So over time, I think somewhere near 98, 99, NSE realized that why are we giving this turnover to BSE for no reason? Because just because they have a Monday to Friday settlement, why should we offer this turnover to BSE? Why should not we keep it to ourselves? So NSE introduced a 3-day settlement cycle, Monday to Wednesday, concurrently with their Wednesday to Tuesday cycle. So there were two settlement cycles running on NSE, Wednesday to Tuesday and Monday to Wednesday. So now what was happening? If you bought something on Wednesday on NSE in the weekly cycle, you will carry it on till Tuesday, close it in that settlement and open it in the 3-day settlement. So they were like two tickers, Reliance 5-day settlement, Reliance 3-day settlement. And you would take that position to the 3-day settlement on Tuesday, and on Wednesday bring it back to the weekly cycle. So you were hopping within NSE from one cycle to the other without having to take delivery, and hence eliminating the need to go to BSE for the turnover. This happened for about a couple of years and the arbitrage was huge. I remember I made like 48% annualized arbitrage doing this contra trade, so people wanting to go from 5 to 3 and I was providing the delivery and the sale position on that, and I made like 4% a month doing this kind of thing in 2001. Anyhow, so this went on for some time, and then the FNO started, and then the 3-day settlement went away, and then you had rolling settlement, and T plus 5, and then T plus 3, and now you have T plus 2. So this is how gradually the reform has happened in settlement cycles, and the volumes have continuously gone up. The brokerages have crashed from 2% to 0, and what even the conventional brokers charge now for delivery brokerage is lower than what was the commission for trading for trading transactions in those days. So the brokerage business as such, which used to be a very a coveted business in terms of people would be wanting to just meet you, if you are a broker of any exchange, and you had all this information about things. But now with this information asymmetry going away, everybody has access to information, everybody has access to competitive rates, and it is just the whole financial engineering of the entire landscape of the stock market that we have seen in the last 2 decades, that has caused 100 crore turnover to go into lakhs of crores of turnover today, and the ease at which we can sit at home and just do a trade through our mobile, and everything else is getting taken care of. It's a huge change. It's a total disruption of the way things were. And even now, with every decade, we are seeing like the discount brokers have come through. The disruption just keeps going on and on and on. So this was just one sort of dip into the past. I wanted to do a different kind of a daily bite today, and I hope you were able to grasp how tough those days were in terms of trying to do things in the market, and how lucky you are that everything is available on your fingertips at virtually no cost. Of course, one downside of this is that because it is virtually at no cost, you tend to do more, you tend to churn more, you tend to go in and out more. I mean, if you are paying 2% brokerage on your trade, I mean, you will have a 4% cost to even just cover your cost if you had to go in and out. So super efficiency does bring about change of habits, etc. But you can't really blame that for non-performance. So this is information that all youngsters should know about how the markets are evolving, how the markets have evolved, and this is a continuous process. I don't know what's coming next. Maybe 24-hour markets, maybe direct to the exchange. So if blockchain technology is used, we don't need brokers, we don't need banks, we don't need depositories. A lot of these intermediaries will just go out of the window. So if you are investing in them thinking that they will last forever, maybe not. Maybe the disruption is right here at our doorstep and we are not able to see it. So let's see how things go, and I'll see you in another video then. Bye.